everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very, very special guest here for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
Hey, I'm Alison McBain, and I'm calling in from Alberta in Canada.
Okay. And can you go ahead and tell me about your past, however extensive you can talk about childhood or whatever, leading up into what you do now in your present?
Well, actually, it does go all the way back to childhood. So ever since I was about four, I always wanted to be a writer. I love stories. I always thought it was the most fun ever to tell a story, even when my parents didn't want me to. um, yeah, so I've always been a storyteller from a very young age, and that has sort of been a constant in my life up until today. And now I am a published author, I'm an editor, I'm a ghostwriter. But it all comes back to from when I was really young and just loved to tell stories and read stories.
How long have you been writing for? Just four? Was it 4 years old?
Yeah, since I was four.
Wow,
So more
wow.
years than I care to say.
Understood. And like what else did you do with your like tell me about your book.
Yeah, so I have a number of books out. My last book was actually called The New Empire, and it's an alternate history, and it asks a question, it asks a what if question. So like what if history changed at one key moment in the past? What
Hmm.
would our world look like after that change? And for
That's a
me,
very wise question.
it is.
Very.
I mean, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to imagine how different the world could be today, if one key moment in time had changed. So like it's one of the my favorite, storytelling type of intros. Like how to get into a story, you ask the what if question.
Okay, and tell me about your very first book you read, and we'll go down the line of your books. How many books do you have, by the way?
I have four published under my own name, but as a ghostwriter, I have over 2 dozen that I have written. So.
Okay, so your first book, you must have been nervous, or you may not have been nervous, but you produced a first copy of your first book. Tell me what is going through your mind while you are doing that, like making that book, producing it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've always wanted to be a storyteller, as I mentioned, and so it just felt like coming home. Finally being able to write the end on a book and actually get it out there and get it published and have people read it and actually, like it was really amazing. It was sort of a dream come true.
Okay, and when you wrote that book, what was it actually about? What was your first book actually about?
Oh yeah. So my first book is called The Rose Queen, and it's a YA fantasy book. And it's a fairy tale retelling, and it's one of my favorite fairy tales, which is Beauty and the Beast. But what it does is it flips the script a bit, and instead of the beast being a guy, the beast is a woman. So it flips the roles there. And so it was a lot of fun, like sort of exploring like what would it be like if you had this immense power but this immense curse hanging over your head. So yeah, it was fun to write.
Do you believe that imagination is greater than knowledge? Because you have a very vivid imagination. You really do.
Well, I mean, sometimes they go hand in hand, right? I think the biggest thing that helps anyone in any sort of creative pursuit is curiosity. So, like as long as you're curious about the world around you, you can do anything you want. You learn anything you want. And I think that's what drives my storytelling is because I'm curious. I want to know, again, back to that what if question. I want to know, hey, what if things had changed? What if I can, change things that we accept as normal, as accept as, basic things? What if I can flip the script? That is really where my storytelling comes from.
How did you strengthen your skills in high school to become a more professional writer?
Um, I just wrote, honestly. Like I never thought that I would really get my stuff out there. So a lot of the stories, like, when you're a writer, it's a very solitary pursuit. Like you are at home by yourself a lot, right? Um, so basically, I was just writing, constantly writing. I'm forgetting the name of the author, but there's one author, quite famous, who basically said you have to write a million words and throw them away. And then once you've done that, you're ready to begin. So I feel like I did that.
If you had one part of you that if you had one part of you that you had to um sit up there and fulfill, like it was to strengthen, if you have one part of you that you can strengthen, about your writing, that about, what would it be?
um, I don't know if there's any one part, but I feel like uh in any sort of, again, any sort of creative pursuit, the thing is to keep on learning, to keep on knowing that you can improve and not just be like, oh, hey, I've won these awards, I've had these books published, I'm at the top of my game, I'll never learn anything new. No, I will never say that myself. Like, I am always learning, and sometimes I'm learning from like brand new writers who are coming out there. Sometimes I'm learning, as an editor, like from clients I'm working with where it's their first book. Like, I feel like I will never stop learning, and that is sort of the key to how I will continually improve what I'm doing. Because I don't know what I don't know, if you know what I mean. So it helps to like just keep an open mind, I think.
Okay. And how do you feel your second book did? Like, tell me about your second book.
My second book was a collection of short stories. So it was a lot of fun to put together. Some of these had been published previously in, magazines and journals. And I got to work with a very fabulous artist that I had met through my work in magazines,
Uh-huh.
who did a cover, specifically for me. And it was really wonderful working with him and just being, like, I wrote a story based on his artwork and he provided the cover, and we sort of worked together on that to put it together, which was fabulous. So I love collaborative projects, and this was definitely a collaborative project.
How did y'all kick it off? Did you go to an event? Did you do a speaking event about to promote your book, or did you just do podcasts? How did that work?
I did a lot of those. So I did a lot of like in-person promotions. I really love to talk to people. Again, that whole solitary sitting at home. I have kids, so I talk to little people. I don't necessarily talk to like, grown-up people a lot. So I loved to get out there and just talk about, writing in general, my book. But I love to make that connection with people.
And how do you feel like your third book did, and what is it about? And how do you feel like you can connect to the book?
Well, my third book was romance. So one thing that I love to do, I love to switch to different genres. So my first book, as I said, fantasy, second book, collection of short stories, third romance, fourth alternate history. So for my third book, like, everyone loves a romance. I mean, I don't know about you. I love romance.
I like
I-
romance too.
yeah, exactly. Love stories like are what drive us forward, so it was a lot of fun to just write and to have that happy ever after at the end of the book. So I
Can
think
you
I
tell
think
me a little bit about the book?
Oh yeah, definitely. So it started out sort of based on a disaster in my own life. So I had just, with my family, we had just bought a house, and it was sort of a clunker. It needed a ton of work, and so after we had bought it, all the pipes sort of burst. We had various things falling apart. It was like constantly like falling apart around us, and we were constantly fixing things. And working with contractors, working with people to get permits, so that we could fix things in the house. So from that experience, I was like, okay, I'm going to put a character in this situation where she, you know, she inherits a house, and she wants to turn it into a B&B, and she has to figure out how to get that done. And she has people coming in to help her. And so she's sort of in the middle of this like love triangle between these two guys who are helping her. One's a contractor, one's a city inspector, and just like, you know, how that takes off for her. But at the end, you know, she opens her B&B, which is sort of like a happy ever after. There's no more housing problems, hopefully, for her either.
Cool. And does it end up with the ending? Like, do you actually get everything taken care of and make it into a B&B?
Oh
Do
yes,
you?
definitely. So, for in her life, yes, she opens her B&B. She gets the guy that she connects with, and yeah, it's a happy ever after for her. For my own family, our house, yeah, we eventually fixed it up and it stopped falling apart around us. But yeah, that it was a lot of work, and I figured I might as well use this experience for something good and write about it.
What about your audience? How is your audience? How many people do you have that tuned into this book? Because it sounds very interesting. What would you tell my audience that will make them want to read the book? Why?
For the romance?
Yeah, yeah, it
Oh
sounds
yeah,
really
that's
good to me. I'm hooked.
well, again, it a lot of it is very realistic because it came straight from my experience of, the house falling apart. So I feel like it's relatable, and I especially for romance, I love rom-coms, and so I like to put that into my writing too. I like to put as much comedy as I can into the book, so it's like a very lighthearted, very escapist type of book that I think people will enjoy, just because, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world these days, and you need something fun to escape to.
I
So I
agree.
think it would be a great, it would be a great way if you're tired of reading the news, as I am. Go over, read a fun rom-com, and feel better about the world.
Tell me about an excerpt from your book that's a comedy, that was comedy in your romance, like a scene that was a comedy scene in your book.
Well, well, because it was a love triangle, there were some sort of near misses between the characters, where there was like, a lot of in rom-coms, a lot of the times where there's, like hurt feelings is because of miscommunication. So there were times when, the male lead thought she was dating someone else, and she thought he was off doing something. So like the miscommunication added to some funny scenes where they were sort of avoiding each other but trying not to avoid each other. Like, I don't know how to explain it better, but
Understood.
yeah, but there were some funny scenes where, yeah, basically she was trying to hold her own life together as well as the house.
If you had to choose between any of the three books, because I know you've written four or more, um, what three books would you choose for a movie deal with someone, like to make a movie deal with and actually produce a movie about a book? What would be your favorite book out of the three that were just mentioned?
Um, well, I have to say, I mean, that's a hard one. When you write a book, it's sort of like a child. You love each of your children equally,
Yeah,
right? Um, I think my latest book, I would say my last book, The Alternate History,
the
because
awesome.
yeah, it has a lot of themes about, it's a very serious book. It's the exact opposite of my rom-com. But it has a lot of themes about belonging. It has a lot of themes that involve um, inequality. It has themes about making mistakes, which I think are relevant, especially to today's modern audience. I think even though it's set, in historical times, you'll see the same. things, you know, again, going back to your news, you'll see the same sort of things going on in the news that take place in the book, like huge political landscapes where there's a lot of inequality and the main character is trying to find basically justice for his people. So that's something that we're seeing a lot of today too.
Tell me about, how do you know where to pull from when you're dealing with the audience? Do you use AI to help generate where to pull from with your audience, like whether young adult or elderly? You know, how do you know where to pull from these
I
books?
don't I actually don't use AI at all.
Wow.
I'm sort of on a sort of anti-AI sort of platform. Just because it has sort of questionable ethics, you know, like, and they're still working that out in the legal system. But for me, like, the joy of writing a story is about writing the story, about creating it from scratch. It's like, you know, I would rather bake a pie from scratch than go to the store and get like a pre-made crust and get pre-made filling. I'd rather just, you know, go out to my garden, pick the stuff myself and actually do it all from scratch. So I'm the same way with my writing. I like to do it from scratch, and that includes finding my audience. I go to a lot of like in-person events. I do a lot of talks, and I like to make that connection. And I think that's where I get people who are coming back for, you know, not just my first book, my second book, third book, who are interested in, you know, seeing some of the more fun and also heavy themes that I like to write about.
And what audience is that? Like what genre, or like is this somebody that is between 15 to 18, 18 to 25, 25 to 30? Like what? I just want to know. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really depends on the book. So my first book was a YA, and my second book, because of the short stories, they had varying age groups for them. So it could be YA through adult. Romance, of course, more adult. And my last book, again, had very heavy themes. It's definitely an adult book. So really, it really depends on the book. Again, I write in all genres. I write for different age groups. Some of my stories are for older audiences and some for younger. And some books, you know, like I read YA. I don't know about you, but I
What
love
is YA?
YA is young adult.
Okay.
So yeah, so one's like everything from like Harry Potter to you know, the Hunger Games. Those are considered YA. So I love those stories too. Like, I feel like a good story makes a good story no matter what age is meant for.
You know, I know this sounds like a really different question, but I'm gonna ask it. Do you feel like reading actually helps strengthen your brain? Even though we know the answer, I just want to know your opinion on reading books.
Oh, 100%. I am like, you know, again, I try to learn from any source out there. So I feel like reading is a great way to set my own imagination going off in different tangents. And it's just fun. So like sometimes when I'm stuck on something, I'll go read a book. I'll go read, you know, the latest bestseller and see, you know, what did that author do that maybe I should be doing myself. Yeah, but I love it. You know, if I could spend all day reading, I would.
Where do you see yourself going with these books in the future?
Well, I'm working on my next book. So the first book that was released is actually part of a trilogy, and I'm working on the second one right now. But you know, just continuing to write and continuing to get new books out there.
Okay, and what are you going to do for the future as far as like do you have like a family or something, like, because I wanted to know, because are you showing them how to write and become a writer, like you know, be your protege, or however, like how do you feel that your children will be involved and intertwined with your writing in the future?
Oh, they're very involved.
Good.
Yeah, I have three kids of varying ages. My top two are teenagers, and then my youngest one is almost there. She's getting there, and she's certainly acting like it too. But no, they're all creative. They love to tell stories as much as I did as a kid, and I love it for the most part. But no, they're very involved. For example, I was brainstorming YA books for a project that I was doing last year, and I basically sat them down and said, "Okay, Mom needs some research. Tell me all about what's going on in your life." It'll and some of it might end up in a book, and they're like, "Okay, okay, Mom." That's
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, they're totally involved, and I actually am super proud. My youngest daughter, she really loves music, and there was a music contest, like you can write your own song contest, and actually last night I just helped her send in her entry for that, and she's very excited. She wrote a song. It's a wonderful song. I really love it, and yeah, fingers crossed for her. I hope she does well.
Mhm. And if you have the floor to draw my audience to you, if you for like 2 to 3 minutes, if you had to give a piece of advice to a young entrepreneur out there that want to be a writer but don't know where to get started, you have the floor for 2 to 3 minutes to tell them and draw them closer to writing.
Yeah, definitely. I love working with new writers, honestly, because they're so enthusiastic. And I want to make sure that any writer out there hold on to that enthusiasm, no matter what obstacles you meet along the way. Because like any creative profession, there's a lot of rejection and there's a lot of competition. But just keep writing, just keep on believing in yourself, because that is the number one thing that I like to say is the difference between a published and an unpublished author. It is persistence. So basically, just believe in yourself, keep on writing, send your work out, when you feel that it's ready. Look for other writers. Other writers are super helpful. There's a wonderful writing community all around different places, and you will find success. I believe it. I believe that anyone who has a story to tell, has a voice worth sharing, they will be able to find their way to publication.
How do you feel like sci-fi has scoped the way we see advancements of the future, especially with new sci-fi actually coming out, and like the Neuralink, and that was once sci-fi. How do you feel like that will grasp us for the future? I know,
um, I
yeah.
feel like it's sort of like art imitating life, imitating art at this point, because I don't know about you, but I loved science fiction shows like Star Trek when I was a kid, and Star Wars, all of these wonderful adventures. And it is crazy to me that we are seeing this in real time almost, talking about trips to Mars, or talking on our tricorders, our cell phones, right? Like we have like again, it's really amazing. And then the whole field of robotics, and as we mentioned earlier, AI, like it feels like we're living in the future almost, right? And I mean, just you and I talking right now, and having this video call, right? Which is something that we read about as kids.
Hmm.
It's Yeah, it's a wonderful time to live in. It's really an amazing time to live in. But I do think that people sometimes saw these things as a kid, and just like me, it set their imagination wild. And for me, I just put it into words, but other people are actually making it physical, which is amazing.
Last question, do you have any struggles that you've reflected on? I don't want to know the struggles, but the struggles you've reflected on that you poured into your book, can you tell me about an instance about that? You don't have to actually say what it is, but what you've learned from it. How about that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I have to say, and this is just from my perspective, I'm not speaking for all authors, but for me, I put a little bit of myself into every work that I write. And sometimes it has to do with the struggle, because conflict does drive any story forward. Sometimes it has to do with, like, finding your happy ever after, right? Like in a romance. And I feel that when you put a piece of yourself into your writing, it makes it more authentic. It makes people be able to connect with it very strongly, because everyone has their own struggles, and being able to put that onto the page, being able to put sometimes some very terrible things that you've been through out there, and be able to share that, I think is very genuine, and readers connect with it, people connect with it. It's really part of the creative process.
Do you feel like you're the power of your own navigation of your own story? Since you're writing stories, but you're like the own navigation of your life story. Do you feel like you've been navigating it well?
I like to say so, just because, like, my kids are amazing, and I hope I had a little bit of something to do with that. And like they are great. No matter how much work I put out, they are certainly my greatest accomplishment, and I just love watching them grow and change every single day. But yeah, for my own story, I feel, again, it's a learning process. Just like my writing is a learning process. Um, I really think that yeah, it's a work in progress, as all of us are.
Well said. And how can the people reach you?
Well, the easiest way, because I'm on multiple socials, but the easiest way is just to go to my website, AlisonMcBain.com. That's Alison with one L. I always like to say that, because sometimes they're like, "Oh, I typed in two L's. How can I find you?"
Okay, okay. And thank you so much. Stay on the line. Thank you all for joining my show today. And y'all take care, be safe, and I will see y'all another time. Bye.
Never waste my time, you are I want.